In highly evolved societies, there is neither marriage nor business, nor, for that matter, any of the artificial social constructions you have created to hold your society together. Most people have a very difficult time with marriage and do not like what it does to them. Your worldwide divorce statistics prove this. It is true that religions could not exist if the whole human race understood that God doesn't have preferences, because a religion purports to be a statement of God's preferences. It's just something you made up. Marriage was the only way you could figure out to bring foreverness or eternality into your experience of love. It was the only way a female could guarantee her support and survival, and the only way a male could guarantee the constant availability of sex and companionship. So a social convention was created. A bargain was struck. You give me this and I'll give you that. In this, it was very much like business. A contract was made. And since both parties needed to enforce the contract, it was said to be a sacred pact with God, who would punish those who broke it. Later, when that didn't work, you created man-made laws to enforce it. But even that hasn't worked. Neither the so-called laws of God nor the laws of man have been able to keep people from breaking their marriage vows. Because those vows, as you have them normally constructed, run counter to the only law that matters: natural law. Marriage, as most of you have practiced it, is not particularly beautiful, for it violates two of the three aspects of what is true about each human being by nature.
Who you are is love. What love is unlimited, eternal, and free. Therefore, that is what you are. That is the nature of who you are. Now, any artificial social, moral, religious, philosophical, economic, or political construction which violates or subordinates your nature is an impingement upon your very self, and you will rail against it. And all for the same thing: security. You are so afraid to live, so afraid of life itself, that you've given up the very nature of your being in trade for security. The institution you call marriage is your attempt to create security, as is the institution called government. Actually, they are both forms of the same thing: artificial social constructions designed to govern each other's behavior. As you have imagined it, yes, but not as you have constructed it. As you have constructed it, it is the ultimate announcement of fear. If marriage allowed you to be unlimited, eternal, and free in your love, then it would be the ultimate announcement of love. As things are now, you become married in an effort to lower your love to the level of a promise or a guarantee. Marriage is an effort to guarantee that what is so now will always be so. If you didn't need this guarantee, you would not need marriage. And how do you use this guarantee? First, as a means of creating security, instead of creating security from that which is inside of you. And second, if that security is not forever forthcoming, as a means of punishing each other. For the marriage promise which has been broken can now form the basis of the lawsuit which has been opened. You have thus found marriage very useful, even if it is for all the wrong reasons. Marriage is also your attempt to guarantee that the feelings you have for each other you will never have for another, or at least that you will never express them with another in the same way, namely sexually. Finally, marriage, as you have constructed it, is a way of saying, this relationship is special. I hold this relationship above all others. Not a question of right or wrong. Right and wrong do not exist. It's a question of what serves you, of what recreates you in the next grandest image of who you really are. If who you really are is a being who says, this one relationship, this single one right over here, is more special than any other, then your construction of marriage allows you to do that perfectly. Yet you might find it interesting to notice that almost no one who is or has been recognized as a spiritual master is married, because masters cannot truthfully make the statement that your present construction of marriage seeks to make, that one person is more special to them than another. This is not a statement that a master makes, and it is not a statement that God makes. The fact is that your marriage vows, as you presently construct them, have you making a very ungodly statement. It is the height of irony that you feel this is the holiest of holy promises, for it is a promise that God would never make. Yet in order to justify your human fears, you have imagined a God who acts just like you. You cannot stand the thought of a God who loves no one in a way which is more special than any other. And so you create fictions about a God who only loves certain people for certain reasons. And you call these fictions religions. I call them blasphemies. For any thought that God loves one more than another is false. And any ritual which asks you to make the same statement is not a sacrament, but a sacrilege.